It's the last episode of the year, and a win to boot. What could possibly go wrong from here? Welcome to the Crow and Cockerel podcast.
Welcome to the last Crow and Cockerel episode of 2025. I'm Graham, I'm here with Mark.
How are we doing?
Tom can't be with us this week, but we have just come off the back of a fantastic away win. 4 points off fifth, which is a potential Champions League place, an away win at a double trophy winning team. What can possibly be moaned about? How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I've been all right. Coming off the Christmas break and, of course, the last game of the year away to Crystal Palace, and 3 points, the lesser spotted 3 points. Yeah, mixed feelings, I think. What do you reckon?
We basically scored 3 good goals. Unfortunately 2 were offside marginally. But we defended well, we fought. It was just the 95 minutes in between.
We've always consistently said on this pod that we look at performances, not results. And yes, whilst it was great to get 3 points, the performance was just another shocker. And I said the last couple of weeks I started getting worried because I felt like it was more on the players, and I was worried about maybe the attitude. I know Tom has certainly been vocal about his worries that maybe Frank was losing the dressing room. I have to say I'm right back at pinning everything right at the door of Thomas Frank on that one. The tactics to go away to Crystal Palace, and play, basically just give them 70% of the football pitch. I just can't deal with it. If that is what the master plan is, sorry, I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I think you said the performance was terrible. I mean, it's the way we play is
Yeah.
ugly. The way we play is ugly. I would say that some of the performances were pretty decent. I was really, really quite impressed with Danso again coming in as a backup centre back. Mateta, although his form's dropped off a bit, he's a proper
Handful, isn't he?
proper striker. And Danso and Van der Ven, sort of looked after him really, really well. Thomas Frank said about the transitions, and we stopped them well, yeah, because they just had the ball all the time, so there wasn't any turnover, was there? But that's one way of stopping it. I thought Richarlison absolutely ran himself into the ground, and that's what I like to see from Richarlison. He got on the end of a couple of things, didn't he? And he was unlucky, certainly with the first goal, because it wasn't him that was offside. But the second one, he was slightly ahead of the play. But we've been saying on the pod for a number of weeks now, wouldn't it be nice if Kudus put the ball in first time? And he did, and we scored.
Yeah.
The goals that were actually offside were good goals.
Yeah. No, they're for sure. I mean, there were a lot of individual positives to be had, I think, which just made it even more frustrating the way we were set up to play. Because how can you possibly build any pressure on a team when you've been instructed as soon as you lose the ball to retreat back to 30 yards in front of your own goal? It's crazy. I just don't understand how, as a football team, you're expected to win games with a tactic like that.
You'll win enough games not to get relegated. You'll get enough points not to get and finish mid-table.
Yeah.
But I think we want more than that, don't we? There was a week on the training pitch without a game, which he's bemoaned the fact that he hasn't been able to sort of instill stuff. And it looked like the only thing that he'd coached them was, if in doubt, hit it out. Because we were just booting it 45 yards and, to reset ourselves all the time. And I think if it was an away performance like that, we got over the line, but generally we don't play like that. We didn't play particularly well with the ball, but we fought for each other, which is absolutely what we did. But usually we're better than that on the ball. I don't think there'd be this nagging negativity, would there? That
No,
yes, we won, but
it's the body of work, isn't it? It's the continuing trend and the body of work. And it's what I said last week about this whole thing about, can Thomas Frank get his message across? Well, I said my worry is that he does get his message across, and that's the result. And like I say, when I see us just dropping back And that's not the players. Clearly, that is
No, it's
the
the
tactic.
plan,
A
you
hundred
know,
percent is that we,
launch it, set. There was very
yeah,
few times when we pressed, wasn't there? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just there screaming at my telly when I'm just seeing the Palace defenders just wander over the halfway line, and still we're backing off. And it was literally until it got to about 30 yards from our goal. And the problem is as well is that even then, we actually weren't blocking off many of the spaces. Certainly in that first half, Palace had a number of chances that they just sliced through us. So it wasn't even as if we were blocking off the spaces, which is the whole point of a really low, narrow block like that, isn't it? Is that you basically you block off all of those spaces in the danger areas, forces the teams to go wide around you, and you just snuff them out. But we weren't even doing that in the first half. And actually, I thought Palace were pretty poor, actually. I've heard all the kind of the stories about them running out of steam with all the games they've had this season, and fair enough. But yeah, I thought they were pretty disappointing, and I think they would certainly have expected to take at least one of the chances they created
Yeah.
against us.
And we've got to remember that they're without like size at the African nations, isn't he? And of
Mm,
course, Eze was a big part of how successful they were. So they've
of
had to
course.
change the way that they were playing, and they were launching it into our box. And with Danso there, again, I thought he did really well in the air. Van der Ven did well in the air. I thought Spence was our probably one of our best players. I thought he had a really good game.
Jed Spence, I thought, and again, I called him out a couple of weeks ago about his attitude and the fact that he never really seems that interested in running back. He was right on it. I thought he had a, yeah, I completely agree. I thought he was really focused and yeah, was really, he looked like he was up for it. He looked like he wanted to defend.
Yeah, yeah, and you do sort of get that sense, or you got that sense with certainly that game, is that they were fighting for each other, which is the first stage, isn't it? Um, you don't expect to go to Crystal Palace and absolutely play them off the park. I mean, the fact is we lost there last season. Palace are obviously no mugs. They've had a really good start to the season, even with their little drop off. But we were absolutely dominated, really, until you put Odebear on.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the outlet, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he was the outlet, and again, I thought Richarlison was good because he was, buzzing around and he was working really hard. But again, there's not much quality going into him at all, is there? And then Kolo Muani, he looks a good player, but
I
again,
thought he
is he
struggled, to be
play?
honest. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
is
thought
he
he
being
struggled.
again? Is he being played, in the wrong bit of the pitch? And if he, if we're not going to play him where he should be played, why have we brought somebody like that profile in? It doesn't seem like, that he's fitting at the moment, and I think he's a good player. He could be a really good player for us, but he's not getting the ball in the areas that you
But
want him to.
it's exactly the same as what you said a few weeks ago about Xavi. The fact is that most of the time, Xavi is having to pick the ball up 30 yards from his own goal. That is not where you want him on the ball. And the same applies to Colomwani. And I think, to be honest, we've been bemoaning the lack of creativity and the lack of quality up front. That's fair. But just to give a little bit of context to that, I think it's really hard for any of our attacking players to really show what they're capable of because of the system that we're playing and the way that we're playing. I mean, like I say, we're not.
Ronaldo wouldn't be scoring a lot of goals in this team because,
No,
he's not he's he's not gonna get the ball, is he?
no, and it takes me back to that final season that Kane was here, which I still maintain was his single greatest achievement in all the things he did with us. To score 30 goals that season, that last season with us, where we created nothing. It was just like this team. We did nothing, and yet we had him just like pulling goals from nowhere. Well, we don't have that anymore, and we don't have Son. So you are reliant on team goals, and we are not set up in any way, shape, and form to score team goals. To your point, we only started to improve once Odebear came on, and he was taking it past 3 or 4 players. Well, that's low percentage moves. You cannot
Yeah, yeah.
expect a player, and it's the same with Kudus. To be fair,
He's expected to take on 5 or 6 at a time, isn't he?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and it's crazy to expect him to be able to do that. He might be able to do that, once a match if you're lucky, and then he then needs to have perfect distribution. It goes back to that thing that we create so few, not even chances, just moments of the ball in the opposition third, that every time we do get there, we have to be perfect because we know that we're not going to get another opportunity for another 10 minutes. And that's why, when Porro, again, his deliveries at corners are fantastic. But that one where he misplaced that cross and it went straight into the
Yeah,
stands, it gets noticed more
yeah.
because
Hasn't got a chance to redeem it, has he?
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
and that's the trouble. Every player has a cross like that, but it's fine because they'll normally have another 4 or 5 opportunities to stick one in, and it's not an issue. But because as I say, our actual time spent in the opposition third is so limited, it just creates that extra pressure to do something amazing every time we're there because again we don't build any pressure because as soon as we do lose the ball, everyone back in front of our goal again. I just can't get on board with it.
yeah. And so, do you think that? I mean, this is a pie in the sky. So, yeah, but as we were playing Palace, Adam Wharton was looked very good for Palace. He was spreading it, he was playing it quickly, and we simply don't seem to have that profile of player that gets it, spreads it, moves it out of the base of the midfield very, very quickly. So, say for example, we signed Adam Wharton, and as I say, it's pie in the sky. Do you feel more positive at all in the way that we'd be looking as a football team? Are we just missing the profile of midfielder to make this work?
I don't know. I mean, because like what I've been thinking is why is Thomas Frank insisting on playing this way? And again, I bring it back to when Conte was there, and I used to ask the same question: is it just that he doesn't trust the players? Because to me, a low block to me is a completely negative defensive tactic that you use when you believe that the opposition is stronger than you. You're looking to block out all the spaces because you're not technically as good. So you're trying to get more numbers in the dangerous places so you can kind of nullify the better opposition. As far as I'm concerned, that is why you play a low block. So is it that? Is it just that he does not believe that we have the quality of players that you need to be able to take any opposition on man to man and play football with them? And if that's the case, I mean, we really are in trouble.
Yeah, as I said to you, I've said to you and Tom. So the thing with Conte ball, as it was, I really got on board with Conte ball the first season when he came in. We signed Bentancur and Kulusevski, and but obviously beat Arsenal to the Champions League place.
Yeah.
Son won the Golden Boot, or yeah, didn't he? And we looked a good team because we were set up well to play to the strengths that we had, which is
Mhm.
basically we had the best striker partnership, maybe apart from Liverpool in the league. If you didn't score against us and we got the ball, through to them enough because they were at the peak of their powers, we would outscore you comfortably. The difference now is that we haven't got that elite player. And it's like the way that Jose Mourinho plays as well. He's very much you have two or three strikers that can do what they like, but everybody else has to stay exactly where they have to be
Yeah.
because it's defensive focus. And you're completely reliant on that you having world class players in your forward areas. And we haven't got world class players in our forward areas by any stretch of the imagination. So, as you absolutely are spot on with, you then have to be able to have a system that gets you up the pitch and keeps you up the pitch regularly. If you're going to be any more than firefighters, what we're doing is hoping we're going to score a goal from a set piece or a counter attack, um, and then defend it.
But yeah, like 1 to 11, you can't be going to Crystal Palace and seriously thinking, we better really stick a low block on here because we're frightened of their team. And it kind of goes back to that narrative of the fact that Thomas Frank seems to set teams up for the opposition instead of saying, right, what have we got? What can we do to hurt them? Because there's nothing in that tactic that is set up to hurt them. I'm sorry, there isn't.
But the set pieces, he said before the game they were weak on set pieces. So to
Yeah,
be fair, we scored off a set piece. So Thomas Frank
yeah,
is right, isn't he? You know,
yeah.
he's stopped them scoring. We got a set piece. We scored off a set piece, and we are very, very good at set pieces.
I think we've got the second most goals from set pieces as well, isn't it,
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
Arsenal?
yeah. So the things that he said that he had to come in and change on the stats sheet, he has.
Mm,
But again, Palace missed 3 very scoreable chances, regardless of what the XG said. I mean, there was one where he swiveled and hit it with his wrong foot. It was only
with Ro
3, 4 yards out. He really, really should be scoring that. So it feels flaky, doesn't it? It feels like it's not sustainable.
and there's lots of things he's been saying recently that, again, uh, are a little bit strange to me. I mean, when he came out and says, "We've had some disappointing results, but we've not actually had 2 consecutive bad performances." And I'm looking around to every other Spurs fan thinking, "Really? Are you sure about that?" And the thing about that, there's 2 things. First of all, does he really think that? Because that would suggest that his standards are a lot lower than ours. But secondly, even if he does think that, or even if he doesn't think that, don't say it. Read the room, because right now, like he's got to think of every interview as a PR exercise. He must,
A few people have been saying, and I think we've said it as well, he needs some PR training. He
yeah.
needs to be sat down by someone and said, "Look, this is how you need to come across." Because you're gonna, he's obviously on TV an awful lot more now, and everything he says is being picked up on, and
Yeah.
it's going everywhere. I go back to the fact that no matter what people say, Spurs are a big club, and you get this profile, and
The classic, wasn't it? It's like, what's your ambition, Thomas? My ambition is to win the championship. And
yeah,
it's,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you all know what he what
Maybe
he means,
means, but
but
it's a
oh
slip of
my
the tongue.
goodness.
It's a really, really silly slip of the tongue,
Yeah.
and it's
It's just cannon
and
fodder, isn't it?
you can't really say, well, it's because it's English is his second language because you've been here so long.
Yeah.
It is it's an obvious Freudian slip, isn't it?
It's part of the job. Is the
Yes.
whole media thing. You are the voice of the club. Yeah, I just feel it's really kind of tone deaf, and you shouldn't be saying things like that. Because again, the home record that we've got, the most abysmal home record in the whole league. So the fans are on your back. You cannot have a home record and expect fans to be anything other than on your back. So every time you go in front of that camera, your job is to try and appease them, not tell them, "What are you talking about? We've not had 2 consecutive bad performances. What have you been smoking?" Like, you cannot possibly think that. It's been an awful season.
So I think it's fair exactly what you said. It does sound like you're still quite pessimistic about where we're going with Thomas Frank. So let's get the Frankometer out.
Yes.
Mark, say what you need to say.
Well, I've been Frank in. I said last week it's almost irrelevant about Frank now. It's about the hassle of bringing someone else in. But I've got to be honest, the sight of that low block, it killed me. It really killed me. And so I have to say, if that is the template of the Thomas Frank era, I'm not in. And therefore, I've got to say, Frank out.
Looking at the fixtures coming up, I think we've got 5 league fixtures that you would feel were pretty winnable. And I think this is a critical period for him because it also includes the January transfer window. The fact is he's managed to stay 4 points off really effectively a Champions League place. He's got a possibility of improving the second half of the season. We have just got to win, completely in agreement with what you said about the style of play. It needs to change, but I think we get through January and there will be the baseline, if you like, of right, is this going to change or are you just even buying players to make play with this way of football? So yeah, this week I'm franking.
I, I, I I think one of the things I realized about doing this podcast is that because we come on here every week and we talk about the games, and it kind of forces you to be that little bit closer to the, closer to each individual event that's happening. And you don't kind of take that more sort of zoomed out, higher up view. But I tried to do that a bit this week. And I thought to myself, my God, we're now at the end of the year. And I reckon I can count comfortably on one hand the number of matches where the final whistle have gone. And I thought, yeah, I enjoyed watching that because
Yeah,
it's just, even yesterday wasn't enjoyable. We got 3 points, but it wasn't enjoyable to watch in any way because I think we had like 30% possession, didn't we? There's nothing enjoyable about watching your team in a low block and the other team having the football for 70% of the match.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
I
and
th I
so
th I th I think the point is we said eventually we were gonna give ourselves some breathing space after the final whistle, weren't we?
yeah,
Because even though we won, we were so angry with what we'd seen for 75 minutes, um, of just booting it 60 yards up the pitch with no attempt to play and hold on to the ball. Um, we were just gonna create another pod of just ranting and ranting and ranting, which hopefully
yeah.
we haven't done this time. But because I think there are some, positive things to take out of it. And
Well, let's talk about those because yeah, I we said, didn't we? But we didn't want we've kind of done that up until now. We didn't want to spend the whole episode on a big old rant again. But yeah, I think you're right. There are definitely some positives, not necessarily specifically about the game, but I think just positives going forward that give you something. And I think that's part of the frustration, just to kind of preface that with saying before we say the positives, is that again, that's the frustration with Frank, is it feels like there are positives that we can take, but everything's being kind of held back. They're being forced to kind of play within themselves. But yeah, let's have a little breath and talk about some of the positives. And I think one of the positives, actually, we've already mentioned him, is Richarlison. We've had a couple of weeks where we've been a little bit disparaging about him, but actually, if you look at his stats this season, they're all right. I was taking a look at if you look at goals per minute, and he is in the realms of kind of one every 1.5 games or so, which is decent. And actually, I looked back the last couple of seasons as well, and that's bang in line. If you take his whole kind of last three seasons, that's where he's at. He's at that rate.
yeah, yeah,
So that's decent. And I think he's got something like 17 goals in his last 24 starts and nine in his last nine or something like that. So, and of course, he could have had another couple against Palace.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he
Marginal
was unfortunate. He
offsides.
was unfortunate. Certainly the first goal, really unfortunate. He got a really good assist. I mean, it wasn't a pretty assist, but
No.
he was out-muscled 3 players at a back post on a corner,
And it was
nodded it
brave.
back.
He got his head in there where it could have hurt. And yeah, he is someone, and again, I don't think we are at all playing to his strengths. He is not a back to the goal, try and hold it up striker at all. He is much better when you're in a free flowing team and getting on the end of chances. But he does tend to make stuff happen. I mean, even in the previous game when he came off the bench and straight away something happened, and we obviously got the goal indirectly from his efforts. So I think he is not the top class centre forward that we need if we want to be a serious kind of
Well, I
Champions
think
League
he's not the top
contender.
class centre forward that we need if you're gonna play this way,
Yeah,
because he's
exactly.
not gonna get enough chances.
No,
Going back to what we said before, if you've got Kane and Son up front, then you can play with a low block and you'll still score plenty of goals and you will have plenty of shots. But the thing I've liked about Richarlison, a good few games this season, is by the end of the game he looks like he's given absolutely everything. He cannot walk, he looks absolutely shattered because he does press well. He just doesn't get an awful lot of backup when he's doing it,
yeah, yeah,
and he puts himself about, and he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he gets sometimes a bad rap from us included, in the fact that you sort of expect him to be world class when he's not. He's never been world class. You can't expect him to be world class. He's at the age now where he is what he is. He's not going to be any different, is he? I think one of the sort of best signings recently that we've made is Kevin Danso. I think it's been an absolutely brilliant signing. The years we've had where we haven't had decent backup that you could trust, I'm not bothered too much if I see him on the team sheet because I just think he defends or he's an old school centre back, isn't he? He's not brilliant on the ball.
He's a defender's
Eh,
defender, and
but
he's a
yeah,
head it,
absolutely.
block it, kick it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a bit like, Michael Dawson for me. You know,
Yep.
he's that yeah, kind of, I'm gonna get stuck in, I love a tackle. He's clearly well liked as well. He's clearly very popular. He comes across really well.
I think we're pretty strong at centre back, and yeah, I agree, Danso. And obviously, the long throw is obviously a huge weapon as well for Danso. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Romero being out didn't concern me at all. It really didn't. I think shout out for Odebear as well.
Yeah,
Again, we've not seen much of him, and I've got to be honest. At the start of the season, I wasn't massively impressed with him. I didn't see an awful lot of end product coming from him, but actually, at the last few times he's appeared, I've been quite impressed. He looks sharp. Certainly against Palace on two or three occasions, got the ball and took it round some players. And yeah, again, he's only young. We've said before, we've got these young players, so they're certainly nowhere near the finished product yet. But no, I think he's certainly showing promising signs, and he's another one. When you look at the squad as a whole, when you see him coming on, you kind of think, yeah, you know what, he could do something. He could make a difference. It's not just fill in the numbers and tick in a box. You do think that there's something there. I think.
yeah, and he's got, again, potential, hasn't he? You know, and he struggles a bit if he plays from the start, I think it's still best to come on as an impact sub when the game's a bit more open. You know, Palace were throwing men forward, which gives him more space. He struggles against a more defensive setup. But again, he came on, but he looked like he was almost playing on a PS5 when everybody else was playing PS3. It seemed so much more vibrant and fast, didn't
Yeah.
he, than what we'd watched up to that point.
He had the lesser spotted shot from outside the box as
Oh,
well,
well,
didn't
he
he?
did,
I'm
but he'd
sure.
probably get
I'm sure he
dropped
got a
for the next
dressing down
game.
from that. Yeah.
But at
But
least,
no, that was good to see.
yeah, but he did have a go. Yeah, I think we're, a little bit of the outliers on this pod because uh we are more in the Brendan Johnson fan camp than a
Yep.
lot of other people. But again, I feel like he makes it because he stretches and he gets in areas that cause problems for defenders to defend against,
So
even
that
if he's
ball
not
in,
gettable.
didn't he?
Yeah,
It wasn't the best of balls to be fair, but he flashes it across, and it's what we
yeah,
were saying.
yeah.
It's
Or he's on
creates
the other end of
chances.
it. He knows where to be when the ball's coming from the other side.
Yeah. Be really disappointed if, because I know there's lots of rumours saying that we're going to sell him in January. I will be really disappointed if we do, because yeah, I'm with you. I'm already disappointed at the lack of game time he's had. I think Kudus. I mean, to be fair to Kudus, obviously, again, we really called him out. It was last week, wasn't it? I thought he had a decent game actually, probably one of his best games for a while against Palace, just because he passed the ball more. It's just like what we were asking for,
Yeah,
and yeah, he seemed a lot more prepared to get in and link the play up. He was also defensively a lot more on the ball and disciplined. But no, I agree. I mean, yeah, I'm a big Brennan Johnson fan. I think he brings a lot to the team. He's got that directness, and in front of goal, we've said it before. I still believe he's the best finisher at the club. Mm. So yeah, I'd be really disappointed if we do let him go. I have to say.
yeah, yeah. But on the flip side of that, I guess where we've had problems is we don't get squad players off the books that aren't going to have a future at a decent price.
Mm.
So if he's not in Thomas Frank's plans and we're upgrading, and that's the important thing, we're upgrading an area where we're weaker, then he's got value, hasn't he? Because he should be of decent value. You can see why Palace would would want him. I think he'll end up doing well wherever he goes. But if he's not going to play for Spurs and he's got that book value of what, 45 million or whatever, then it's one of
Yeah.
those, isn't it? That
Yeah,
actually
true.
you take your little profit, because I think it was 40 when we bought him, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't
Uh,
he's certainly not gonna have, reduced in value, is he? I think he's done
yeah,
enough whilst he's been at the
yeah,
club to prove that
yeah.
that he's got that value.
Before we get on to the predictions, I do have a cockle doodle this.
Go for it.
His hair's too long. He just doesn't honestly pass the ball in much of a sponge pudding. Cock-a-doodle dis.
So, I mentioned this a few pods back. I was disappointed that this had happened. But by 3 o'clock on Boxing Day, I was fuming, absolutely fuming, because, you get to a point of over Christmas of having a lovely day, having all that lovely time with your family and lovely food and things like that. But after 16 pounds of cheese, copious amounts of alcohol, all you want to do is sit. And what I want to do when I'm sitting is I want to watch Premier League football. And there was no Premier League football until 8 o'clock. By that time I was absolutely off my face again. So I just cannot understand how we've got to a place where you can't just watch Premier League football on Boxing Day. And I'm not even saying it had to be Spurs. I accept that not all the games have to be on Boxing Day, but to have one at 8 o'clock in the evening, I don't get it. I'm not having it again. This cannot happen again. I don't care if there's a World Cup and you have to have 15 games a season on Friday night. Rubbish. Boxing Day is sacrosanct. It's sacrilegious not to have games on Boxing Day. Cockadoo diss over. Right.
No,
Yeah, go on. Go on.
no, I've got nothing to say.
um, right. So predictions. Uh,
Yes, huge
Big week
game.
this week because
Huge game.
Frank goes back to Brentford, and then massive game at home against Sunderland on Sunday. So, how do we get on with our predictions for the Palace game? Not well, I assume, because we're all doom-mongerers and we all said we were going to get beaten.
The scorers were not troubled at all. So no movement, nothing to report here.
Excellent. So we've got two games for to make something up. So, Mark, you've got Tom's predictions
I have.
for the Brentford game first. Let's do that one.
Yeah, so Brentford game, he's going to go 1-1, and he reckons Van der Ven is going to be the goal scorer.
Going with either a set piece or a 50-yard solo run. Could be either, couldn't it, with Van Ven?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. So what do you think, Mark?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Again, huge game, just like the home game that we had against them not so long ago. I just hope that we don't have the same reaction as when we played Forest away after the Brentford game, where we'd got that win and it took a little bit of pressure off everybody. Brentford, they're having an okay season, but I don't think they're a great team. And I think it is a fantastic opportunity for us to go and build on that Palace result and actually try and get consecutive wins. So I do think we'll do it. Defensively, we looked all right. So I'm going to go with another 1-0 win. And this time, I think our goal scorer is going to be Colomwani.
Okay. Okay. I think we should go to Brentford and win. I don't think we will. I think we'll get a draw, simply because Brentford will be really up for it. The G-Tech will be really up for it. They'll want to rub it in Thomas Frank's face when
Yeah.
they don't miss him or whatever. So I think I think we'll get a draw. Yep. So I'm going to go 1-1, and I think Richarlison will stay on side and get a goal.
Very good. Well, he's wasted so many celebrations this season. Hopefully, this one will be worth it.
Right. So the Sunday game is Sunderland, who, when the fixtures came out, you would have put this down as an absolute gimme, wouldn't you?
Home banker.
You would have said, "There's no way we will be losing against Sunderland at home." Does Tom think we're going to do better than that?
He's gone for another 1-1 draw,
Okay.
and Richarlison to score.
Okay. I think we are going to win. I do think we're going to win. Our home form will slowly improve. And I think there might be some news that lifts the crowd. I think we'll try and get something done quite early in the transfer window. So although whoever that may be won't be part of the squad, I think there'll just be a lift and we'll feel better about the club as a whole. So I'm going to say that we are going to win 3-1. I
Wow.
think that, yeah, I think we're going to start getting a bit of form together. Um, and one of the scorers is going to be Colin.
Okay. Well, I watched the Sunderland Leeds game the other day. Sunderland have got, I think, something like 5 players out in AFCON at the moment. They're the team that have the most players out at that tournament right now, and I do think that that will impact them. It's a good time to be playing Sunderland. They've obviously had a great start to the season, but I think they will be vulnerable because of that. So I also think we're going to win. I think it will be 2-0. And I'm going to say Lucas Bergvall as one of the goal scorers.
Are you sure? Because he looked quite injured.
No, he's fine.
Yeah, he hobbled up really badly against Palace. You sure you want to go with that?
He'll be fine by then. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Fine. Great. Okay. So a bit more positivity in those predictions then. Let's see how wrong we can be this time.
Yeah.
Um, right. There's no Tom's teaser this week. So what we got left on the agenda?
Well, it's obviously end of the year. We're looking forward to the start of 2026. So, what is on your wish list for 2026? What do you want to see?
I want to see us have a proper go at the FA Cup. And I know we've got a tough draw, but I'm hoping Aston Villa will have their sights on other things and maybe they'll rest a few players and it won't be top of their priority list. So, I'm hoping we can get through the third round. I really hope that we can develop into a decent team in the second half of the season, and that ends up with us, really having a good run. Let's temper it a little bit, but I really would want us to win it. You know, I think if we get close to it, we've now got the temperament where you feel like the players will believe that they can bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the experience of Bilbao, you get so much from crossing the finishing line, don't you? So yeah, I think you're right. I think if we were able to get to the latter stages, that would certainly hold us in good stead. I agree. For me, I just want to bring a bit of fun and enjoyment back into our play, both from a fan's perspective, but from a player's perspective as well. As I've said multiple times, I feel like at the moment the tactics are holding us back. I do think we've got better players than what we're seeing, and I just want Thomas Frank to just allow the players to go out there and express themselves a bit more, because I really do think that we would be a better team for it. Let's get on the ball. Let's show that we're a good team. Let's create plenty of chances and let's give the crowd something to actually get excited about again. Um, and obviously, it's been an abysmal 2025 at home. Let's put that right first time on 2026. Let's make the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium somewhere where teams fear to tread again. I think most fans would agree to say this season so far has been a complete disaster of a season, but we are still only 4 points from fifth. If we go on a little run between now and the end of the season where we start again, because we've already said we've got the best away record already. So you would think that, and that's the hard bit. You would think that's the hard bit.
Yeah.
The home form, I don't know, it has to change. Like, surely it has to improve. So you think if we can just carry on doing, I will take a low block 30 yards from goal in our away games if we release the brakes in the home games. That's my compromise, Thomas. I'm putting it out there right now. If you are listening, if you take the breaks and play exciting football at home, I will accept the boring away games that bring us, a point here and 3 points there.
So that's good. And I want to finish off on a bit of positivity as well. So let's do a bit of positive Spurs.
Now everybody, haven't you heard? Here's a guy that can polish a turd. When you think you've got nothing to give, he'll stay positive. Positive Spurs.
So what I love is being reminded that football, at the end of the day, is a game that you should really, really enjoy. And you can be paid millions of pounds a year. You can be uh, on your social medias all the time, and you could people be trolling you and all this sort of stuff. And it can look like it's not that much of a fun job to do sometimes. But when Archie Gray scored,
Yeah.
and he realised he scored, and he realised he wasn't offside, and the absolute grin on that 19-year-old's face
Yeah.
just showed that actually it's still, in that moment, it's like kicking a ball round a park, in it,
It
with
really
your
was.
mates.
It was like jumpers for goalposts, and yeah, it was like winning the World Cup final with your mates in the
Yeah,
playground, wasn't it?
absolutely. And he'll probably tell everybody, yeah, it's nice to score a goal, and it's even better when it's part of a win. And I'll
Yeah.
work hard to make sure it's not my last one. But he'll never forget his first, will he? And it's great considering the year he's had. Where yes, he's broken into the first team, but he's been pushed around every position. He's had to play centre back. He's finally getting a chance in his better position, if you like, and he's finally
And
got
of
on the
course,
inside.
he made that mistake, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago, and got some pelters for that as well. So yeah, really good to see that swing right round, and yeah, I agree. What I also really enjoyed about that goal, you say the joy on the 19-year-old's face of scoring his first goal. I don't know whether you saw as well, kind of in the background of that shot, the reaction of Colomwani when
Yeah,
that
yeah,
goal went
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
absolutely.
was
Yeah,
overjoyed,
yeah, yeah.
and I really loved to see that because again, he is someone who isn't even part of the club. He's only on loan. He's been to the biggest clubs in Europe, played in the biggest competitions, and yet his reaction to that goal going in, I think, speaks volumes about
You can't
him. And
fake it. It was an
no,
immediate reaction. It was just absolute joy and pleasure, and,
exactly, exactly,
and it's business and it's money and it's razzmatazz and all the ways that FIFA and everybody tries to ruin it. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, scoring a goal is still the best thing in the world, isn't
best
it?
thing in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great to see. Well, there we go. That is 2025 done and dusted. I'm not sure any of us quite saw what it would look like, but it's done. A new year, new promises, new hope, new expectation. Let's see what it brings, and we'll be with you every step of the way, right here on the Crowing Cockerel podcast. Bring on the new year. Come on, you Spurs.
How about you, Spurs?